Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Victor Alonge on Real Estate, your weekly program that comes to you every Wednesday of the week. My name is Victor Alonge, your anchor. In this edition today, we'll be looking at property development project management. What exactly is it? How is it done? And what role do project managers fill in a project? The contractor's role, and then what exactly are the aims of project management? Because it's an additional cost to the development. So why is it? I'll be looking at this more closely after this short break. Please don't go away. Welcome back. It's still Victor Alonge on Real Estate. My name is Victor Alonge, your anchor. As I said, we'll be looking at project management this week. Before we actually go into what project management is, I would like to address a fact that project management, as it is actually not an exclusive preserve of any professional, especially in the built environment. But even though virtually every professional within the built environment can lay claim to project management, some are more, better placed to deliver, especially when we look at the contemporary project management concept. Project management is different from construction management. Project management is not just looking at the technical, but also the commercial component of the project. And that is why it's always a good thing to understand it, especially for the client to understand what project management entails before actually deciding on who to appoint as a project manager. What exactly is project management? I think in layman's language, it is actually organizing a development to achieve the objective of the developer. Organizing the development, managing the process to ensure that the objective of the developer is actually achieved at the end of it. And how is it done? Simple. A project manager effectively represents the developer on the project team. He is the representative of the developer. He is the one that is the technical, is the manager that advises the developer and also guide the development team. So a lot rests on his shoulder. And, in contemporary development concept, it's not just technical. A greater portion of that process is now commercial. Let's take example of a developer who is developing a shopping mall. Now, the truth of the matter is that a shopping mall is not a social project. It's a commercial project. He wants to actually achieve reasonable return, and profit from that development. So, in organizing the development, there will have been a feasibility and viability report done before the project is actually, started to ensure that it is feasible and it's viable. And on that basis, the development is approved. Of course, you have a situation where lending is involved. The project now takes off. The project manager is to ensure that the pre-development objectives in terms of the viability appraisal that was done, in terms of the cost and, income projection are not unduly scuttled by the technical development process. Of course, when you are starting a project, you have a budget. It does not mean that you cannot overrun it. But a project manager will ensure that the differences in costs from the initial projection is not serious enough to throw the income expectation or income projection into prices. So the project manager must have not just the technical, but also the commercial, as well as the managerial, skill to be able to ensure that the project is successful. Now, the team on the project, of course, you have the technical team, and usually the technical team is usually led by the architect, and you have the structural engineer, you have the services engineer, that is the electrical and mechanical. Of course, these days you have even planners, being involved. Of course, the quantity surveyor, who is the chief cost consultant to the project, is part of the team. But the project manager manages them, when it comes to the development team itself. And you see, from experience on a project, it may not be as, managing the consultant may not be as difficult as actually managing the contractor. So the contractor is actually very, very, very important on a project. His role is key to the delivery of the project. And the project team must work together to be able to ensure that the contractor does not take advantage of, disagreement among project consultancy team to, make a mess of the project. So the contractor's role is important. The contractor is the one that actually delivers the physical structure, but he does that under the supervision of the entire project team. Various aspects of the construction, whether it is the service, structural, design, and even the costs, he does that. So, in a nutshell, project management has actually come in and is attractive on a project for a client to actually embrace despite the additional costs because of three key benefits that it brings onto a project. And I dare add another one, which I will let you know now. And the first one is actually ensuring that the project is completed on time, the quality is assured, and also within costs. Yeah, within costs is relative because most projects, it's very difficult to actually have a project that you, especially if it's about a 2-year project or even 18 months project, that you have a project that will be delivered, according to what was projected originally, because of inflation, because of price fluctuations, and so on and so forth. But I think in terms of delivering it within cost is relative, and it's to be understood that within the best costs possible. And of course, the other aspect that from my own experience as project manager, is that of revenue, to ensure that the expectation of the developer at the beginning is actually achieved. And the project manager handles this, better in a way that he relates whatever, costs variation and whatever that is coming in during the development. He relates it with post-development expectation of income. So it's not going to make sense if, your revenue expectation is static and the cost continues to mount up, and at the end of the day, a project that was expected to deliver maybe about 12% return is now coming in at about 5% return. That will be a massive failure. And it's not just a failure of the project, but it's a failure of the project manager. So these are things that a project developer will need to understand properly so that he or she can appoint the right person. And to be honest with you, estate surveyors and valuers, because of their training in terms of their technical knowledge, in terms of their financial, their commercial understanding, and even the legal skill, legal training that they have, are better positioned. And if you look at, in those days when Lagos was being developed, the whole of Marina, Broad Street, and so on, there is hardly a project there that was developed without an estate surveyor and valuer being the project manager. And that's That is something that we need to understand, and we need to continue to impress on, our clients to embrace. So this is project management, and your best bet is to ensure that you have the right professional. Everybody has a role to play in the project, but the roles are different. And the project structure, the project organization structure has actually given each professional their role. The architect leads the design team. The quantity surveyor actually takes charge of the costs of the project, that is the training. You have the services engineer, that's mechanical and electrical, handling the services aspect. And you have planners working, to ensure that, the project is actually developed according to planning expectation. And of course, the land surveyor gets involved at the beginning to ensure that, there is no issue about boundary, and ensuring that the topography is actually understood so that the architect can design, properly, taking into account the topography of the site. So, estate surveyors and valuers now come in to manage the entire team to ensure that the project achieves the pre-development objective. So this is project management. I'll be back after this break. Please don't go away. Welcome back. It's still Victor Alonge on Real Estate. I want to thank you for being part of this program this week, and I hope you've had a great time, as usual. Until I come your way next week, please let us have your comments and opinion and suggestions and your views. You can send it to our addresses that are shown at the end of this program. This is Victor Alonge saying, continue to keep safe. Goodbye.